Welcome to the Pirate Broadcast, where we interview interesting people doing interesting things, where you can expand your connections, your community. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. And let's get this party started. And it's a beautiful day for the Pirate Broadcast, and I just love the fact that we can get up in the morning, enjoy a great conversation. It's like one of those conversations. I did a post the other day on this, and it's like, you know, the Pirate Broadcast is like sitting in some place and you're overhearing a conversation that's kind of interesting between a couple of people that are just enjoying life, looking forward to what's taking place around them, and thriving in the moment, because that's what it's all about, is enjoying what you're doing and loving life to the fullest. And today we're going to be talking to an interesting person, another interesting person doing interesting things. Dr. Joe, welcome to the Pirate Broadcast, and thank you so much for being here. How are you today?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on board there, Russ. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Hope you are too.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we were talking before the show, and we came up with this idea that teaching allows people the opportunity to always venture out and learn. You're constantly learning. You can't teach without learning something. And you have this opportunity to actually generate a conversation around whatever subject it happens to be. And so I encourage people to always be lifelong learners. Learn something new, learn something
Absolutely.
interesting outside of your field. It doesn't matter what it is. And so I wanted to kind of go down the path. You know, you started out as a teacher, and as a teacher, you're always a teacher. You know, it's that thread and that DNA is always in you. And you and I have a common thread of being in the early days of IT and watching this evolve. And so I kind of want to walk through from 92, that when we started IT, to right now. What's your journey looking like, and what changes have you seen, and what are you doing right now today to bring us up to speed?
Oh, wow. From 92 to now. Well, that's what, 28 years, less gray hair back then, a little bit more of it too.
When we were
Well,
writing modem scripts.
that's right. that were 28K baud. I don't even know what baud stands for anymore. I don't even know that anybody knows what baud means, you know.
Well,
I
for
don't know.
some people, they weren't even born when you could hear a modem talk.
Yeah, the noise, right? And now they think, oh, it sounds like a scanner, you know. Yeah. So yeah, it started in the early 90s. Went to work for NC State University. Enjoyed it there. I started off as a computer consultant. Then I was promoted to computer training manager, then analyst programmer, and finished up as business intelligence specialist. And during that time, I've seen my share of things changing like crazy. You know, the university went from a mainframe based system to a client server based system to a web and enterprise PeopleSoft based system. You know, one system implementation after another, always having to look for ways to refactor your code, looking for ways to fit gap what the new features would be of the new software, the new reporting system, ensure that all the functionality was still there with whatever the old system used to do. You know, you get people who are reticent to change, people who don't want to innovate, who don't want to progress. That's because they don't want to give up some of the things that they knew their old reporting system could do. And so it was a matter of proving that the new system could do everything the old system could do. You might have to do it a little bit differently. You might have to get used to mouse clicks instead of, you know, typing with your fingers on the keyboard or whatnot.
Right.
You know, you might have to get used to dialog boxes and drop downs and things instead of being able to type whatever you want. You know, so it's different ways of doing it, but you give people what they need, and you take care of their functional requirements, their technical requirements, their business requirements. Then, you know, if you can provide that in an environment that does it more quickly, more efficiently, provides them more information at their fingertips, and does it in a way that's accurate and dependable, and doesn't give them too much of a headache, then why not? Help them to get over the reticence to change. People are used to doing things in a certain way. So if you can sweeten the deal by addressing their concerns, dealing with their concerns, and providing something that gets them to where they want to go more quickly and more efficiently, then that's 90% of the battle right there.
One of the fascinating things for me is that I used to build infrastructure for doctors, orthopedic surgeons,
Mm-hmm.
and there were two camps. There were the doctors that don't take my pencil away, and the doctors that say, hurry up, give me a new computer. I need to do it faster. So,
right.
And nowadays we're actually growing up in a universe that a lot of younger people right now grew up with an iPhone in their hand or an iPad in their hand,
Mm-hmm.
or
Or they learned how to type like this instead of this, right?
yeah, and they're really, really familiar with the technology, and they're not always involved in the technology for the sake of technology. I got into technology because I was fascinated by the fact that I could do something with a program, or I could create something or automate something or build a system
Right.
around it or capture data in a certain way. I was always fascinated by the process and building systems, and I think that is still true today. The whole pirate broadcast is built on the process of, allowing my producer to, get the graphics, producer, send a note out to you, and the automation is, you're notified, you send a link to the show, and all this stuff is over years of accumulated knowledge and experience to be able to put this all together. And I think it's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people underestimate what is possible. And I think we're
Yep.
accelerating into technology. And now you're moving into the world of, a speaker and talking about different subjects, and you're connected with a lot of different people in the IT industry. So I kind of want to talk about future forward thinking and
Mm-hmm.
some of the topics that are fascinating to you. And so what's top of mind for you as far as IT and technology and Internet of Things, and some of the I was
Mm-hmm.
talking to Amon. I don't know if you caught the show yesterday, but Amon is in knowledge management,
Yeah.
the building the help files that, are created as a result of new programs and things like that, and bringing it all together in an organization. So that's
Mm-hmm.
some of these critical threads that we're talking about this week seem to be important to a lot of people. So what's top of mind for Joe?
Sure. A couple of things that come to mind for me is data. Okay. I mean, both in my line of work as a senior systems analyst at the Department of Health and Human Services, where I'm at now, and in the speaking that I do on the side, by far the most popular topic is one that I do on actionable data. Recognizing, getting people to recognize data is an essential commodity. I mean, there's no shortage of it. The issue now is not so much not having enough data, is knowing what to do with it. How is it presented? It's look at data as a commodity. It's not just about producing pretty graphs, snazzy reports, jaw-dropping PowerPoint presentations. Okay, there are folks that need to make decisions based on the data that with which they're presented. And if it's not presented in the right way, or if the underlying data itself is flawed, well, then it's going to lead them to draw wrong conclusions, right?
Yeah.
Wrong conclusions lead to wrong decisions. Wrong decisions lead to wrong actions. Wrong actions lead to wrong outcomes and wrong circumstances and consequences. Yeah, all of that, which could have been avoided from the get-go by ensuring that you had your data right in the first place. So when everything is right, okay, then you start looking at those charts with enlightened eyes. You start knowing that your data is right. So what's going to happen? If it's done correctly, you're going to start noticing trends. You'll notice patterns. That leads you to start asking questions. Okay. You do that, that makes you want to dig deeper. Then you find even more patterns, notice more trends, and ask even more questions, and you start analyzing the answers to those questions, right? Then you start drawing conclusions. And at that point, that's when you're able to make informed decisions that are going to get you where you want to go. That's where your actionable, or excuse me, your data becomes actionable. As I like to say when I'm presenting and when I'm talking to anybody, not just when I'm either behind a microphone or on a stage or whatever, data is actionable only when it helps you to make a decision, answer a question, or solve a problem. If you're not doing that, you're wasting your time. And so that's what I want to do, is to bring people to the point where they realize it's not just about all the fancy schmancy stuff, the eye candy, as it were. Ensure that the data that's being presented, it's being done correctly, that no wrong conclusions are being made, that people aren't being led down the primrose path, as it were.
Yeah, I know that I've seen this in action personally as a result of I create some content that I think is a good content, and crickets.
Of course it is.
Crickets. It's like, and I'm not one to necessarily chase the views as much as continue to add value, because I think if I continue to add value, what I believe is valuable from my experience, or it's almost therapy for this, is like I can reach out and I can talk to Dr. Joe, and probably next month you'd probably still answer my email or a direct message, and I'd say, hey, I have a question about data, and I have a question about something, whatever it happens to be. The likelihood that you would probably answer my question, or at least acknowledge my interest in talking about it, would be a high probability that I might get a response.
Absolutely.
And also, the relationship that we have and we build is also important in our relationship with data, because I think one of the things that we're going into in this knowledge, the era of more knowledge and information and big data, as they call it. We're in this period of growth and expansion, and it's really accelerating. And it's like AI. They're building computers that are now, can beat people in Go. The games and things like that. You can teach computers how to do these things. And the reason why it's important with that data is that if you know what the data is telling us, and we have systems that we can build to eliminate the mundane, the redundant tasks that don't necessarily need to be done by a person, and then we can start teaching people how to react and respond to data coming back. That's where I think we're really going to see transition in the workforce, and how things are being managed, and how things are being taught, and how things are being completed in what we're doing around us. Because I think we're in the infancy of learning how to really understand what all of the information is telling us.
Exactly.
And I think there's a layer of management that needs to go out, and we need to really dig in and start to understand what that means and what that should look like to be meaningful and productive for us.
Absolutely. You have to start drawing insight. That's the thing that people do best. Okay, right? You've got competing interests. Okay, you've got the computer that knows how to do repetitive tasks. It can do it so much quicker, so much more accurately, so much more consistently than a human ever possibly could do. What I think we should capitalize on is understanding the relationship between the human factor and the AI factor, right? Rather than being scared of AI and thinking that it's going to be like Arnold, who says, "I'll be back," Skynet is going to get you, or whatever. And no, it's drawing the best from both. Let the computer do what the computer does best. What does it do best? boom, 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 instructions, 500 million instructions, bam, 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 one right after the other,
Right.
repetitively, consistently, correct every single time, the same way every single time. Well, that's consistent. We are the ones who are in control because we're the ones that give the computer the instruction. Okay. So if the computer is doing what it does best, reducing the amount of time that it takes for all these repetitive things to be done, to crunch through all the numbers, to make all the calculations, then we as humans are free to do what we do best, is to make inferences from the data that we see, right? To make decisions, to draw conclusions, to see those patterns that I was talking about earlier, to move the chess pieces that need to be moved in order to take advantage of whatever it is that's going on. The trends that we see, we need to shift our manufacturing, or whatever it is that needs to be done, regardless of the industry.
Yeah. It's hey, Dr. Joe, I want to give a shout out to a couple of people that are in the room today. Janet
Absolutely.
is here. Thank you so much for Janet. Angie, good morning from Wisconsin. Thank you. She's in IT as well. She has an IT background. And Punit, good morning. Thank you so much for being here. Nick Gimmel up in north in Canada for us. Thank you so much, Nick, for being here, dropping by and seeing the Pirates today. Steve, great energy, gentlemen. Thank you so much, Steve. I appreciate that. You can't teach without learning something. That is such a truth. I love that.
Absolutely.
Love that. So Hyatt Ives is going to drop by for a while. He's a pirate. Thank you. Just here for a short time. And Gabriel, this is awesome. I am simulcasting the pirate broadcast to all my streaming platforms.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you, Gabriel.
Are you using NDI, Gabriel, or just restream.io, or which one are you doing? So good morning, fellow pirates. Everyone is watching. Everyone else watching. So, Dr. Joe, this actually, the pirate broadcast is broadcast live to Facebook, Twitter, through Periscope, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live all at the same time. And then I use these systems. I break it down, and then I create a podcast, a transcript, and a blog post, and then it's up by the afternoon. So this is, using technology and data and systems and things like that. It's fascinating to me to see how this can actually evolve. So good morning from YouTube. LinkedIn stream not working. That's unfortunate. I know that LinkedIn will continue to evolve and improve, and we have connections you have a few connections, Dr. Joe, on LinkedIn, I know. So good morning, Russ and Dr. Joe. Thank you so much. Kenyatta's here. Good morning to you.
Hey, Kenyatta.
So piratey. Just a heads up, Kenyatta and Art Jones and myself are going to be hosting a remix of the LinkedIn Live pop-up Wednesday afternoon.
Awesome.
Pacific time. So if you have a moment and you want to jump in and meet a few new people, it'd be a great opportunity. So we're here for Skynet. Kenyatta. Everything's taken care of. Don't worry.
That's right.
Gabriel.
Pay no attention to the guy behind the mirror, behind the curtain.
Attention to the guy behind the curtain.
That's right.
Good morning. I want to break into this idea because, algorithms. I don't know if I had an opportunity, and maybe some of you have seen this, the social dilemma, and how slight incremental changes have developed and evolved our behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be on the other side of IT and, technology and project management and managing these things and developing websites. And now I'm more on the broadcast and, creating content. And so we're relying on data more and more every single day. And these algorithms that allow us to be seen or be evaporated in the feed are always changing, always evolving, and incrementally they're kind of causing us to do some things. So I want to talk about what your thoughts are on how our behavior is being impacted and how we can maybe adjust our behavior or stay healthy in these changes. And as we get more connected and more in tune and more turned on by the devices and the information and also the technology around us, what are your thoughts, and expand on that a little bit, because I know it's
Sure.
important.
So I think people's behavior is influenced when they know they're being watched. Okay. Like Bugs Bunny used to used to tell his friend Daffy, "Does anybody get the feeling they've just being watched?" He says that every time, I guess.
Yeah.
When you know somebody else is watching you, it's going to dictate in certain cases, how are you going to react to things, whether or not whether or not you shave, you comb your hair, you wear a shirt, or whatever, you know. Is
I
your
don't trust you
webcam
have
on?
pants on.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Or if you leave the lights on and make sure your curtain's straight and all that kind of thing,
Yeah.
so your background looks good.
The
Yeah,
world of Zoom 2020.
that's right. Yes, and even more so, since we, you know, we're we're gregarious creatures. Okay, we uh, uh, at least even those that are introverts, we thrive on human contact. And now with with this global pandemic and in-person meetings having gone out the window, and heck, even the handshake. I saw um article the other day that was called "Requiem for the Handshake." It's like now it's the elbow bump or the or whatever.
Yeah.
uh we I don't know, in it and we call it social distancing. I would prefer to call it physical distancing for the sake of health and safety or whatever,
Yeah.
because we are social creatures, and interacting on a screen is not exactly the same as interacting when you're live in the flesh. But I think the with the technology that is available to us and how we can have these face to face. I mean, you and I, we're face to face. We're several, how many hundreds of miles, a couple of thousand miles away from each other, and yet we can talk face to face. So having the technology kind of helps to bridge the gap and allows us to express ourselves a little more socially. We can see the inflection in someone else's face. When I smile at you and say, "Boy, you're a moron," that. We're both smiling at each other. I mean, if I type that, "You are a moron," you might want to slug me, right? So we can tell we're looking at each other's. You're not a moron. And as a speaker, I thrive on that, in knowing how to adjust what I'm going to say based on my audience, based on the feedback I get. The chemistry of the crowd, and now it's the cloud. Yeah, right. And at least with a camera, like on a Zoom like platform, Citrix, or whatever,
Whatever
Microsoft Teams,
platform you use.
whatever platform, right, right. A platform that makes a bunch of people look like they're the Brady Bunch, with the little squares everywhere, right? At least you can see each other's faces. You can look into each other's eyes. You can see, as you're talking to them, how they're responding. At least a little bit of their body language, or at least head language. This part of their body. And you can get cues from that help you in your communication, to know how to react, how to respond, and how to receive yourself what's being said to you.
Yeah. It's interesting to me that and I know that this is a challenging time for many people, and early on, one of my bits of advice that I always positioned mentally people for is take this time to learn a new skill. Take the time and
Yes.
the opportunity to learn something that you would not normally take time to do if you have time. I've been a
Right.
remote worker for a decade. This for my lifestyle and for what I do and how I work, my life really wasn't interrupted too much. It was really more about, I don't go to the movies now, and I don't go out to dinner as often, and I don't meet friends in person as often. It was the more of the event idea. I didn't go physically to a LinkedIn local and see people and greet people. And I've spent enough time in Texas that I'm a hugger. It's like, hey, how are
Yeah,
you
me
doing?
too.
And it's like,
Yeah.
that's just, that's gratifying, and that's very satisfying to people to meet in public, in groups, and have conversations about what's going on in their world. And like you said, the body language and some of the feedback that you get in person is not the same as a digital connection. And
Right.
I think we just need to, as a result, we need to make sure that we have a little more empathy for what people are going through,
Yes,
because this is a real struggle for some individuals.
it is.
And people that are really gregarious and outgoing and love the event, being on stage or as a performer, as a
And
musician.
I'm a ham, so yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, where's my audience? I don't know
Right.
what's going on. How long am I going to have to go without? And so I just encourage everybody to have a little empathy and compassion for what's going on, and do some outreach, and do what you can with what you have where you are, as that one famous quote says. I just think that there's a lot of room for growth in a number of areas, and I think that we really have to come together
Sure.
and find the common thread rather than the thing that polarizes us.
Absolutely.
It's a
Absolutely. And it's
challenging
all,
year.
yeah, it's all where, where's your focus, right? What is it that what is it that you're dwelling on? I can choose to focus on what I'm missing out on. I was supposed to have gone to about 12 different cities this year. And, I could mope about that all those in-person events, or
Yeah,
I could say, you know what, I'm getting to reach a much larger audience, invited to a whole lot more different events to speak at. I'm going to wind up speaking in like 20, now counting, there's now 27 different events where I'll be speaking by the time we get to the end of 2020. That would not have been possible. I would not be able to be in Nashville, San Diego, Honolulu, London, and Chicago within a 3-week period of time. I mean, but via electronic digital means you can. So what do? Do you focus on what you're missing out on? Right. I can choose to dwell on the negative. I can choose to project that sorry state of mind to other people around me and potentially ruin their day when they're going through all kinds of stuff too. Or instead, I can choose to focus on the blessings of life, health, family, the things that are so much more important than anything else. Dwell on how much better off I am than I would otherwise be.
yeah,
I can choose to be grateful rather than bitter. And as a result, I'm going to project confidence, grace, encouragement to people who need it, right? The circumstances didn't change. My health didn't change. What did change was my outlook on it, right? I may not be able to control what happens to me, but I can certainly control how I'm going to deal with it. Do that, and I might just live a little bit longer and help brighten somebody else's day. That's what it's
I
all
know
about.
that I know the days are much brighter when you're looking at the opportunities rather than the
Yes,
obstacles.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. See the obstacle as an opportunity.
Yeah,
See the adversity as an advantage, right? Just like what was it that Winston Churchill said? Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is
yeah,
the courage to continue that counts.
yeah,
You know, so focus on that rather than moping about what you're missing out on. I mean, you can't help it. You're not going to change anything by my moping around about it. So
yeah. Well, this has been fabulous. I know that there's a lot of opportunity out there, and I know that the data tells us that life will continue in the future,
Mm-hmm.
and we will be doing some different things next year and the year after. And I just encourage everyone to adapt and be resilient and have a little empathy along the way. So where do
Absolutely.
people find you, Dr. Joe? Where's the best place for them to track you down and connect and make sure that now that you're a pirate, there's might be some pirates to connect
Yeah.
with. So.
I'm still waiting for my honorary eye patch. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
Well,
So,
Sherry Wally over here at Slap Tag Design, she was creating some of that stuff. So good morning, Dr. Russ and Dr. Joe. Thank you so much for being here, Sherry. So
absolutely.
It's awesome to think that we're going to be able to connect in the future and
mm-hmm.
Some of the things that can take place and the opportunities that will be presented as a result of disruption. So, and we could talk about that in an entirely different program. So,
yeah, that's a whole nother subject unto itself. But to answer your question about the connection, so on LinkedIn, I'm at JWPEREZ is the suffix on the N after the N. I have a Sessionize page at sessionize.com/Joe-Perez. And then my website is drjoeperez.com.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you stopping by and sharing with the
Absolutely
Pirates your gifts and your message. And
it was an honor to be here.
As always, kindness is cool, smiles are free. So you enjoy your day. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the day. Thank you for joining the Pirate Broadcast. If you found this content valuable, please like, comment, and share it across your social media channels. I would love the opportunity to help others grow in their business. The Pirate Syndicate is a platform where you show up, we produce the show. It's that easy. If you want to be seen, be heard, and be talked about, join the Pirate Syndicate today.